Hey guys, it's Benjamin with Benjamin Exotics, and in today's video, we're going to be taking a look at how to choose the proper quality and right size tub for your own ball python. So in today's video, I want to give you guys a pretty good guide on how to choose the correct size tub for your ball python, and I'm going to actually go through and talk about some of the brands that I like here in the US and give you guys some pretty universal sizes that you can use for your own snakes. Now, as you guys know, the brands across the world are not going to all be the same. So from the US, the UK, Australia, wherever you are, the tub sizes are going to be different because they're different brands. So this is kind of a guide, not an exact concrete thing. So all these tub sizes I'm going to talk about in today's video, you can actually find online at sterilite.com, thecontainerstore.com, wherever. So you guys should be able to get a pretty good idea and estimate of the size of tubs I'm going to show in today's video. So before I actually show the tub sizes themselves, I want to talk about two things people lots of times maybe don't think about, and two things that are very important, which are quality and security. Now, quality is something that I don't think barely anybody talks about when we're talking about plastic products for our snakes. Now, fortunately, nowadays with this technology that we have and the way that plastic is made, most plastic is actually pretty safe. Not all of it, but most of it. And we want to try to get something that's going to be basically a food grade quality plastic so that we can ensure that there's not going to be any harmful pathogens, any harmful smell, any harmful odor that's going to actually be leaching into the snake's enclosure, and especially no harmful chemicals in the compound of the plastic itself. So here's the easiest way I'm going to find to do this. I could, sit here and tell you guys about all the different materials that plastic can be made of, but this is right here one of the easiest ways to tell good quality from bad quality plastic, okay? So if I take something like this Sterilite tub, and I actually smell the container itself. This is a container that has been used for multiple snakes, been washed a few times. I smell practically nothing. Now, when you get containers first from the store, right out of the factory, they are going to have a little bit of a smell to them, whether it's Sterilite or Iris or Hefty or whoever. So I'm not talking about a subtle smell, but most of your containers, after you wash them a few times, should have practically no smell at all. However, some of your more low quality plastics, so things that are like in these pots, I absolutely despise. Now, it's not all pots, but lots of the times you get these from like Dollar General or Dollar Tree or stuff like that. These are actually quite nasty, and the plastic that is in these is horrible. I'm not gonna sniff this a bunch because I'll actually get like a headache, because again, this is like a very toxic, not good plastic product that's in this plastic pot right here. But if I smell this plastic, I get like a really like a petroleum, gassy, just like really nasty type smell. And no matter how much I wash this plastic, I'm never going to get the smell out. And that's because whatever the material is, whether it's the plastic itself or the coloring in this, it puts off a really nasty smell. And if I actually have a container that's made of this bad quality plastic material and I use it for my snake, I can actually cause all kinds of really bad problems, like a sick snake, and it can actually straight up kill your snake if it is leaching toxins into the enclosure. So easiest way to tell good from bad quality is just with your scent, guys. Take the plastic, smell it, and this is quite foul. Smell the plastic, and if it smells like chemicals, if it smells like petroleum type based gas, oil, whatever, this is garbage. Okay, throw it away. Never use something like that for your snakes. Now, the second point I want to talk about is security. Now, lots of the times, and this is again a mistake that I see that I've made in the past, all the mistakes that I will tell you guys about are normally things that I've done myself, is using a snap-on lid like this for a pet or a not rack style enclosure. So like you guys can see, I actually do use the lidded Sterilite tubs in this rack right here. But here's the thing. If on one of my tubs right here, even if a snake pops a lid, like let's say a snake is able to pop a lid right here, it can only push it up barely and make a tiny crack because it's going to hit the melamine. So even in this setup right here, even though I don't recommend these with the snap-on lids, you can make it work on a rack. However, if you are a pet keeper that's going to be taking this and putting it just on a nightstand or a bedstand or, you know, a coffee table or something that isn't a rack system, and you're going to be using a lid, you need to be using something that has clamps. So instead of using something like this, so this is a 6-quart Sterilite tub with the snap-on lid, you need to get something with what we would call like clamps or clips on the side of the tub. With something like this, you can actually see, I can actually quite easily pull this off if I really wanted to. I'm not going to because I'll actually damage the tub, but a snake will be able to push this off like that, no problem. You get a tub like this that has latching sides on it, just like that. You can hear it, you know, connect. There's no way a snake's gonna be able to push out of this. And this is what you want to use as a pet. So, second thing I want to talk about, like I just said, if you're using it for a pet, not in a rack system, make sure you get a tub with clips. Now let's get straight into the tub sizes themselves. So when I get a baby ball python, fresh out of the egg, fresh out of the incubator, I don't know if you guys can see, it's right beside the camera, but the second I get a baby ball python, probably around, you know, 70 to 100 grams out of an egg, I want to use something like this, which is a 6-quart Sterilite tub. Now, again, you have to kind of keep in consideration, I am a breeder, and I'm limited on my amount of space that I can use, so while some of this might not be exactly the best advice for a pet keeper, which I'll touch on in a second, if you are a breeder and you're looking for breeder tubs, you want something small, compact, that's going to give the snake enough space to be able to keep fit, but not so much space that it's going to feel unsecure. 6-quart Sterilite tub is excellent. I use, again, something like this. Make sure if you are using a lid, you put air holes in the side. I find one line on each side of the container does pretty well. And this will last the snake until it's around 300 grams. Anything past that, again, you're going to have problems with obesity. Snake's not going to be able to get enough exercise, so 300 grams is about the cutoff point. We can actually show you what that looks like if we grab a bumblebee, and man, this little girl likes to bury herself in the bedding. She's just such a fantastic snake. But if I take, just to show you guys a pretty good size comparison, this is the absolute biggest that you'd want for a tub like this. Again, you can see it's not terribly bad, but this snake is not going to have enough room to move around and actually burn calories and stay fit in this enclosure. These aren't going to be actively hunting in the wild, but they do need to be able to move, and she's actually hissing because she's in a really she's not in a good mood today. But again, they need to be able to move, but not so much that they're not going to feel secure. So let's put that little girl back in her enclosure. And let's look at the next size up. Now, depending on your setup and your style for breeding, the next size up could be as big as a 28-quart tub, which is, again, I'm going to say 28-quart tub in general. It could be, you know, 30-quart, 34-quart, but generally something that's kind of like these sizes you can see behind me right here, which is the 28-quart Sterilite. That can be good for something just over 300 grams. However, if you're a breeder and you're trying to conserve space, the size that I would recommend to go up from there would be something like this. So this is basically a 15 or 16 quart Sterilite tub, and while I'm not too much of a fan of how tall this tub is, it's kind of just wasting vertical space, the floor space of this tub is perfect. So if I have a snake like that and it's, you know, getting a little bit too big for the 6-quart and I want to move it up to something a little bit bigger, but I don't want to go all the way up to a 28-quart, the 16-quart is just fantastic. This will sustain a ball python until it's right about 600 to 700 grams. That's about the cutoff point. I wish I had a 600-gram ball python, but everything I have is, you know, 300 to 400 or 1,000 plus. Okay, I don't really have a good range right now because most of the stuff we have has been sold out for the year. But again, once the snake gets a little bit too big for this tub, you'll just be able to tell it can't move around enough. You want to upgrade from here. Now, like I said, up from this size of tub, and you can actually skip that size completely if you want, I would go with something like this. And this is actually my favorite style of tub ever, because this is like a jack of all trades. So let's go back to the thing that I was just talking about. If you're a pet keeper, okay, and you're not a breeder, if you're just keeping a pet, you might not want to keep upgrading tub sizes from the 6-quart to the 16-quart to the 28-quart like a breeder might, because remember, a breeder is working on limited amount of space, and we have to try to keep the animals in the least amount of space possible while still being efficient and meeting the animal's needs. So if you're a pet keeper, I love this tub because you can actually buy a baby ball python, And as long as you keep the tub crowded, so you put in things like fake plants or a bunch of different hides, some substrate like aspen or cocoa husk or cocoa fiber that they can actually burrow in, and a good sized water bowl, and make sure you have air holes if you're using a lid, this is, I think, the ultimate tub for a pet keeper. Because like I said, great for babies, but you can actually raise a ball python up to about 2,000 grams in a tub like this. I'll actually roll some B-roll right now showing you guys what a 2,000 gram ball python looks like in this tub, and as you can see, it is actually very spacious. So if you're a pet keeper, I would forget those first two tubs that I just showed you and just go straight to a 28 quart tub. If the snake gives you problems, you could go back down to a 6 quart or 16 quart, but generally, if you add enough hides and you clutter the tub up and make sure that the snake feels secure, this is a fantastic size tub. Also, if you are a breeder or if you want to breed in the future, this is great for anything from an adult breeder male all the way up to a small adult breeder female. So an adult breeder female is probably going to be, 2,000 plus grams. But if you have a smaller female that's 1,500 grams to about 2,000 grams, so somewhere in that range, this tub is absolutely perfect for what you're going to need. Anything above 2,000 grams, again, the snake just can't move around. It's probably going to get obese. You're going to have all kinds of problems with egg production. But if you are a breeder and you want just a great jack of trades, perfect size of a tub, these 28 quarts, or this is actually a 34 quart with the locking lid, or in a rack system like this, is just absolutely perfect. Now the last size I'm going to show you is for mainly adult breeder females or massive adult breeder males. Anything really over 2,000 grams is a little bit too big for a setup like this. We're going to want to actually use a 41 quart Sterilite tub. So something, we actually have to scoot those guys over so I don't knock the tower over. Oh man, there it goes crashing down. But if I take a tub like this, this is absolutely the best size tub that I can think of for an adult breeder female. We're not wasting too much height because, again, ball pythons are more terrestrial. They're not going to be climbing. So all you need is probably, I'd say 6 to 7 inches tall, which is what this tub is. And without a lid in a rack, this is fantastic. Now, one thing that I would warn you about if you are using this for a pet is you really have to think about, again, security. This is great for a rack system. As you can see, a very spacious tub, 41 quarts, perfect for any female that is, 2,000 grams plus. Even my 4,000, even almost 5,000 gram females still have plenty of space in a tub like this, and you don't really need to go any bigger than this. Now, the only problem with a tub like this for something like a pet keeper is going to be security. Like I said, for a breeder or someone that does want to breed their snakes, and when I say breeder, I don't even necessarily mean that you have to breed your snakes, just you're going to be in a breeding setup like a rack system. If you're using a rack system, these are great. Have your DIY rack without a lid, slide it in, you're going to be just fine. But if you are a pet keeper and you have like a bigger adult male or a pretty big adult female ball python, this is where you might actually start to run into some problems. Like we talked about with the locking lid tubs, so the tubs that are kind of like this with the latching lids on the side, these are secure all the way until you get up to the 41 quart size tub. Sterilite does make a few bigger sized tubs, kind of like the 48 quart here, that have those locking clips on the side of the tub. What I found is that if you do, like I showed you with this, try to pull the lip of the tub on the side open, on the bigger tubs, you'll actually have a crack big enough that if you pull, the snake could theoretically get out of a space like that. So if you are going to use something like a 41 quart for an adult ball python, I would recommend doing something like a Velcro setup. So even if you have the clips on the side, I would go to the middle and have like some sort of Velcro setup, or be creative, DIY lock that's actually going to keep this lid secure, because I've seen so many horror stories where someone has a big tub like this, the locking lids or the locking clamps or the locking, clips, whatever you want to call them, on the side of the tub, and the snake still gets out. And that's because, again, they're going to push up on the lid, there's going to be a small crack right here, they're going to push right through, and even if the lid doesn't come off the enclosure, they're still going to get out and get lost. So hopefully this gives you guys a pretty good idea of what size tubs you're going to want for your ball python's enclosure, and a pretty good idea of how to not only pick quality tubs, but how to safely secure your ball python in its enclosure. So I hope you guys did enjoy most Wow. So I hope you guys did enjoy and most importantly benefit from today's video. If you liked the video, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Until next time, thanks for watching and I'll see you guys in the next video.